Hello everybody. In this video, we are going to see how we can import a quiz to the Blackboard. This quiz has already been built, so I'm simply going to walk you through the steps of importing a quiz to the Blackboard, but not creating one. So the first step is to have a folder where you would like your quiz to be placed. For example, I have already created a sample assessment folder. If you already have it, great. If you don't have a folder, you can click on the plus sign here and click on content area. Here you can write the name of your folder. If you want your students to see it, you can click on available users and then submit. If you don't want them to see it now, you can just leave it as it is, unchecked, and you can make it available later. Since I already have a folder, so I'm just going to cancel it and leave my folder over here. To start importing the quiz, first thing you need to do is go to Course Tools. By default, it will be hidden. So you click on the drop-down arrow and go all the way down to Tests, Surveys, and Pools. Here we click on Tests. Here you will have two options, building a test or importing a test. Since we're not building a test, we will go to Import Test because our test has already been made. And then I browse my computer. Here is my quiz that I am going to import. I click on it and open. This has been attached. I click on Submit. After this has been successfully imported, I will get a message saying that the package has been processed. Now what I need to do is click on OK and then go to the folder where I want the quiz to be imported. Here I go to Assessments and click on Test. On this list, I will have the quiz that I have just recently imported to the Blackboard. So you may have to go down the list and see where is your quiz located. Mine is located at the end of the list. So I'm going to click on it and then choose Submit. So my quiz has been imported. Now I need to work on the settings. You can include information about the quiz when you build a quiz, or you can also modify them when you import it. I'm not going to make any changes because these have been already set up. If you want your students to see the test description, you can check here. If you also want them to look at the instructions, you can also check over here. Here you got two options. Your students can either do the quiz on this browser or this window, or they can use it on a different window. I suggest that you do it simply on the Blackboard window. So we will leave it as no. This is for exam security so that they cannot use multiple windows when they're doing the quiz. If you want your students to see the quiz right now, you can click on yes. If you want them to see it later, you can just leave it as no. You can also set up an announcement. So when the quiz becomes available, they will get an announcement that your quiz has been made available. This is for how many options you want to give to your students. For example, if you click on multiple options, you can click on number of attempts, and then you can choose how many attempts you want your students to do and which attempt you want to be graded. Normally for a single attempt quiz, we leave it unchecked. So this means they can just take the quiz only one time. You can also do it forced completion. This is when the quiz is timed. So once you click on forced completion, after the time is over, the quiz will automatically submit. You can also choose the time. For example, once you click on set timer, you can modify the time, make it 50 minutes or 60 minutes, and then click on auto submit. By auto submit means when the time is over, the quiz will automatically submit and students don't have to click on submit if they're not done with the quiz, or even if they don't click on submit and the time is over, this will automatically submit their quiz. Here is where you can set your timing of the quiz. For example, when do you want it to be available and until when. So if you click here and click on the clock. You can modify the timing. You can also change the dates. If you want to set a password, you click here, and then you choose a password, any password that you want to choose for your students. If there are any students that need extra time, you can click on add user or group, and from the list you can choose the names of your students and how many extra minutes you would like them to get, and if you want them to get multiple attempts, you can also do that. Here you can choose the due date. So technically the due date should be the date when until when the test should be displayed. You can also increase 5 or 6 extra minutes here in case a student finishes early or something goes wrong, they can still see the quiz. If you don't want your students to start the quiz after the time is over, you can check here, but you cannot check until you choose the due date. So if I check here, my students cannot take the quiz after the due date has passed. These are 2 options for you for self-assessment. If you want the grades of this quiz to be included in your grade center, you can check it. If you don't want it, you can uncheck it. This is normally when you are setting the template of your Blackboard or your course. That's where you can include the quiz in the template. If you are uploading it later, you can link it with an existing column on the grade center, or you can just not include it in the grade center and manually transfer the marks from this new column that this quiz will create to an existing column. I wouldn't do this because you want to see the score, especially when this test is graded. So do not check this one. For some quizzes, you can allow your students to see their grades after they have submitted. So by default, this will be checked. But if you are using the same quiz or parts of a quiz for different sections, you should uncheck it so that the students cannot see the correct answers after they submit the quiz. This is for quizzes, the way you want the quiz to be presented to students. If there is a quiz that includes a long reading text and multiple questions, you should set it all at once because you want students to see the reading and the questions. If there are multiple parts of the quiz, you can also do one at a time. So they can do one question, and you can also prohibit backtracking. Once they choose the answer, they cannot come back. You can also randomize questions. So these 2 normally go together. If there are quizzes or questions that you may be giving same questions to one class. So if you want to randomize them and you don't want students to come back, you can just click on randomize questions. This works well with vocabulary quizzes where students don't need to read the text. They can simply read the statement and choose their answer. However, if you are setting up a reading quiz that has a long text and more than 1 questions, I wouldn't go for this option. You should go for all at once so that the students can see the reading and all the questions, and they can go back to the reading as many times as they want. Once you're done, click on submit. And your test should be available and ready to go. Sorry, we chose this one, so we didn't choose a password, so I'm just going to leave it blank and click on submit. So my quiz is available. I have not made it available to my students because this was just a sample. However, if you want to change the settings and you want to make it available, you click on the drop down arrow, go to edit test options, not edit the test, edit test options, come here and you can make it available, change the timing again and click on submit. You can do it before you start the class or before the quiz starts, or you can set up the time and this quiz will become automatically available. I hope this has been helpful.